안녕하세요. This is Yeon Kim, your mentor to discover Korea beyond the media. Did you watch the trailers? I recommend. How do you think about that? The first TV show I recommend, titled 며느라기, No Thank You in English, describe the married woman life in Korea. The married woman in Korea, they have huge struggles between traditional roles and modern roles. Married woman role is sacrificing themselves everything for their family. However, now it's 2022, 21st century. Women also get the education and then rights as equal as men has. So most women after get married, they have huge conflicts between who they are and what society expect from them. We can talk about it, career interrupt woman, in the end of this class. Second trailer I recommend, titled Cyber Hell, was based on real sexual crime in Korea. It was very controversial issues. Major perpetrators related to the crimes are currently in jail. However, most suspects who share and distribute the illegally recorded video are still in our society. That is a huge problem in Korea. Today, we're gonna deal with Korean woman's life from Joseon dynasties to nowadays. We can figure out how woman's life in that time, and we can find out how woman's life should be nowadays. Okay, let's begin. The photography on the right of this slide shows Korean Women's Army during the Korean War. Korean women gained all legal rights as men had in 1948. However, according to the Global Gender Gap Report 2022, South Korea still has gender gap index of 0.657. Comparing to China and Japan, among the East Asia country, Korea has highest score. However, South Korea still 99th country out of the 146 countries. Also, Korean women had to suffer from the selective miscarriage because of the son preference by 2000s. Another gender inequality index out of the 38 countries by OECD in 2021, South Korea steals fourth lowest countries in the percentage of women in National Assembly among 38 countries. Also, 80% of victims of violence crimes are women. 38.6% of Korean women have the experience related to sexual harassment or crime. To understand Korean women in academic way, we also have to have a look the history of woman's life in Korea. What do you think of woman's life in Joseon dynasties? Most people would think Joseon dynasties is strong Confucianist society, so they would have huge gender discriminations against women.
However, early Joseon period, the society treats woman as important as man. Let's look at Andongwans genealogies. Andongwans is one of the oldest genealogy which is still exist in Korea. Andongwans genealogies is a significant historical record to look at the status of the woman in the early Joseon society. According to these genealogies, there wasn't gender discrimination. Gwan's family treats daughter as important as the son. To describe children's, this genealogy use the order of the birth, and also when they describe daughter, they wrote the daughter's name and then they wrote the name of the son-in-law. If their daughters got remarried, they also recorded the name of the second husband's separately beside the first husband's name. Daughter's children, like a son's children, are equally all recorded from the generation to generation. In early Joseon period, according to this genealogy, we could see women at the time were as important as men. However, as time passes, under the ideology of Confucianism and Neo-Confucianism, Joseon dynasty began to suppress women. Gender discriminatory policies were openly implemented and woman's life becomes harsh. Late Joseon period, there are several female Confucianists and poets complain about their situation under gender discriminations. Here are two posthumous works of 임윤지당 and Chanyang-heo. These two ladies represent a female Confucianist in the late Joseon period. Particularly, 임윤지당 insists she has equal right as man has. In her record, she said, "Even though I am a woman, I got knowledge. There is no differences between man and woman from the beginning of study." These sentences sounds totally right nowadays. However, we have to think about it. It was written in early 18th century. After 임윤지당's posthumous work published, it became phenomenon among the women. Women at the time got huge impressed by 임윤지당's posthumous work, and they start to learn themselves to attain philosophical enlightenment. Kang Jeongildang is one of the women. Even though her situation is only recast her devotion for the family, hence she also remained this kind of record. Although I'm just one of the common women who are taking care of her families from only in Budoye, if I want to attain the philosophical enlightenment, I would reach that eventually. Actually, her academical confidence was bigger than her husband's. However, nowadays, there are only a few people know the name of Kang Jeongildang and 임윤지당. And also, in Korean history textbooks, they didn't mention about them yet. How was Korean woman's life during the colonial period? Before talking about the colonial period, in this slide, I want to talk about woman's life in late 19th century. More than 400 nobility women established first woman organizations in Korean history. This organization named Chanyang-heo. They try to encourage the people to let their daughter to study. Also, in 1898, September 8th, they published forced manifestos of Korean women's rights. These manifestos titled 여학교설시통문 or 여권통문 in Korean. These manifestos empathize on equal rights in education. It also appealed to the public to establish more schools for the female students. Many students from female schools during the colonial period played important role in the independent movement. For examples, we can see the Gwansun's pictures in her prison record card on the left side of this slide. She is representative of the female teenage independent activist in Korea. When she was arrested because of the participation in the March 1st movement, she was only 18 years old. When she was in the prison, there were 24 other teenage female students also in the same prison on the same charge. According to the prison record card, the participations in March 1st movement is not only female students, but also handcrafters, housewives, entertainers, and teachers. The number of this prison records card from Seodaemun Prison during the Imperial Japanese government were total 6,264. Among them, only 187 cards relate to the female prisoners. Due to the time limitations, I couldn't mention about the female independent activists during the colonial period. To know, or if you have any interest in the Korean female activists, I recommend you to watch the film titled Assassinations, released in 2015. Secondly, if you also have curious how teenage girls take part in independent movements such as March 1st movement, please watch a Resistance released in 2019. These films described history of Gwansun. From this film, you can also have a look how female prisoners live in Seodaemun Prison. Korean woman's life after independence still in the war. There is also the term of domestic abuse or domestic violence, so there are so many women who were suffered from domestic violence. Fortunately, with democracy movement, Korean women's rights also treat as important social issues. In the late 1980s, many women's organizations established at the time. Korean Women's Hotline is one of them. Also, Korean Women's Hotline is the first organization who opened the shelter for women who suffer from domestic abusement in 1987. They kept demonstrating against domestic violence, but also it supports women's rights activists such as Women's Film Festival conferences and educational programs against domestic violence. These organizations played important roles in black demonstrations, which is against legalized abortions. Korean Women's Hotlines support reproductive rights of women. Finally, all these women's rights effort lead and abortion banned in 2021. So, what about Korean women's life in 2020s? Korean government start again to find out more female independent activists and female figure who contribute to protect South Korea. Also, Korean government make many policy to protect women against misogynist crime such as stalking, sexual crime, and domestic abusement. Now you can see from the documentary titled Cyber Health, Korean government tried to make another law to protect women and teenagers from cyber sexual crime. Not only protecting women, government tried to support women to encourage them to get married and have a baby because the Korean birth rate is lowest in the world. However, whether there are many policies to support women or not, Korean woman doesn't want to have a baby because of the social problem. If you have a baby, women are requested to quit their job by the company. In this kind of situation, makes women lost their interest in getting married and having a baby. Let's look at the chart on the right one first. The reason why women become career interrupted is still parenting, because Korean society still requests women become the major role of the parenting. So they have to quit their job for their children. The second reason is because of the marriage. It's slightly getting decreasing the rate, but still you can see many of the Korean women quit their job after marriage. Third reason is pregnancy and childcare. If parenting is the most reasons why women become career interrupted, we have to find out how childcare going on in married couples. Let's see the chart on the left. According to this child care contributions between the married couple chart, women contribute more time than men. For example, when their kids are sick, take care of them is mostly woman's duty. Also, half of the men's answer to sometimes of child care contribution. This chart represents unfair situation between the married couple. Fortunately, not only government but also media and public pay attention to this situation to overcome it because it is too old-fashioned and it is not fair for a woman who is also working equally as much as man does. How do you think about a woman's life after these lectures? Was it as you expected? Or was it way different from what you expected? I'm also very curious about woman's life in your country. Is it different from Korean woman's life? Or is it very similar to Korean woman's life? Or what about the relationship between woman and parents-in-law? Please don't forget to make a comment in the classroom. Next lecture is gonna be our last lecture, and it is about K-pop. We are not gonna talk about which song is better or what kind of K-pop is famous these days. But we're gonna focus on the business of the K-pop. Please don't forget to watch the series of documentary in YouTube. I recommend. It will help you to understand business of K-pop in Korea. Okay, see you next week. Bye.